All right, welcome back. This is now part 8 of recounting my United States Navy service. And this is part 2 of the Scout Sniper Indoc. So again, we finished part 1, day 0 basically, the Friday of PFT, polls, expectations for the week, and then the first day talking about the SS PAT, the Land Nav class, and the MCMAT PT. So now we're on to day number 2 of the Scout Sniper Indoc. Got the right in the rain today. We're going to talk about land navigation, some classes we did, and then moving into like PB ops and hide site building. So we finished around, I want to say 2200, 2300. And then the following day, our muster was 0400, and we were going to move into our first land nav course. And, I pulled back. It was weird because you finished the day, and we got to go back to our barracks room, which I think was designed that way. Because when you're laying in your bed and you're sore as shit after running, a marathon's worth of rucking, plus all the PT and classes and polls we had done, waking up that following morning was definitely a tough decision to wake up and get out of bed and put that ruck on and carry your gear back to loft. I remember during that selection, I keep calling it a selection, during the Indoc, I just wore my camis to bed, took a shower, and I slept in my camis and socks and just put my boots on in the morning. Like whatever I could do in the morning to mitigate tasks so I could just focus on waking up, putting the gear on, and heading back for training. Definitely a hard decision, a hard battle with your mind to finish. That day was super crappy. It was just raining all day. And then we had our first land navigation kind of test. I'm not an expert in land navigation. I'm not going to be giving tactics and tricks and tips. There's other YouTube videos out there I'll link below. I'm more just talking about my experience. I think just the biggest thing if you are doing land nav is taking your time, finding your points and making sure they're accurate on your map, and then having a legitimate route plan with checkpoints along the way. Luckily, Camp Pendleton is pretty easy to do land navigation on. There's lots of terrain features like mountains, helo landing pads, comm towers, so you can use those to land navigation. If you're doing land navigation like the swamp, the jungle, or very flat terrain, you better be good to go with your azimuths and, setting proper, what's the word I'm looking for, pace counts. But again, luckily for Camp Pendleton, land navigation is pretty easy there because of the terrain features. Same thing as before, we have our main packs on, pig egg inside of it, a bunch of weight, and then we did most of our land navigation all around San Mateo. We were given 4 points and 4 hours to find those 4 points. And I think I found 3 out of the 4 points. I remember it was just raining super hard. It was very cold. I was very sore. As I was climbing up all the fire trails and kind of the back roads of Camp Pendleton, I kept slipping and falling on the mud. And like I said, my hip flexors and lower back were absolutely destroyed. And I think I found 3 out of the 4 points during it. The MRE I made a really nice peanut butter and jelly sandwich and had some Mexican-style chicken stew on the side of a hill. It's pretty nice. And I think that was the only time, not necessarily that I wanted to quit, but I was very much over going through this Indoc. And I was walking down the main street back towards the loft towards the end, and my buddy Fagiano, I had my main pack on, sagging. I was walking down, head down in despair, just over the training. And then my buddy Fagiano, like I said, he was like, "You good, bro?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine, man. I'm just kind of over this." He's like, "Dude, don't quit. It's day number 2. Just finish strong." And I said, "All right, buddy. You know what? I can do that for you." And honestly, I'm thankful he stopped by and kind of gave me that motivation to keep going. Like I said, I wasn't going to quit, but I was definitely very much questioning what I was doing. Just pouring rain, slipping and sliding, and being very cold during this training. After land navigation, we had some classes. I remember we did a class on communication, how to set up a radio, how to talk over a radio, and then we had a test the following day. I wish I had my notebook. At this point, I was already sleep deprived and tired, and I have notes where as I'm riding, my head, they call it bobbing for cock. my head nods down, and you can see the spots where my head was nodded off, and then I just scribble like crazy in my notebook. It's kind of funny to see. We did this observation lane, so we were given binos, and they had a bunch of objects hidden inside this bush, and we were lying in the prone, and we had this whole piece of paper with all these different acronyms on it, how to properly describe something, give the distance, and again, these would be important in observation. And then we played this other thing called KIMS, so keep in mind sniper, and then they gave us a box of a bunch of random objects. You know, you'd write down, trying to memorize as much as you can, do a bunch of physical fitness activities, and then later down the line, they give you a piece of paper and you had to write down all the things that were inside this box. Again, just fun little memory games. And then we did the night land navigation course. And again, obviously, nighttime land navigation is way harder. Have to have noise and light discipline, and it's imperative you actually have a pretty in-depth route plan and get really good at terrain association. I want to say this was way harder. I think I only found 2 out of the 4 points, and luckily one of the points that was on there was from my original morning course, so I was able to find that one relatively quickly. I definitely cheated a bit during this. One of the rules during the Indoc was that you weren't supposed to go back to your barracks room or drink any kind of energy drinks. And I said, no, I'm going to do that. Risked it, but I just was craving a monster doing this. So I threw my main pack and chem light inside of a bush. I snuck around the barracks and went up Lance Corporal Hill. Went to my room, and my roommate was in there. I looked at him, he was a corporal. I'm like, hey, corporal, you didn't see me here. He's like, yep, didn't see you here, doc. Grabbed my credit card, got a monster from the vending machine, and then snuck around the backside again, put my main pack on, found my first point, and once I found my first point, I just sat down under the stars and had a first strike bar and chugged my monster. And just kind of sat there for 10 to 15 minutes just like, oh yeah, this is nice, man. You know, I'm out here alone again, under the stars, looking for my points. It's not raining, but still pretty cold. And yeah, like I said, I confessed that sin way later on during my time in the platoon. Again, had I been caught, I would have been kicked out from the platoon, but it was a risk I was willing to take, and it's kind of a funny story amongst my teammates. Land navigation at nighttime, we finished around midnight, I want to say. And at this point, we were down to like our core group of candidates. No one had really quit after this point. I want to say we were down to about 20, 17-ish candidates, and this was kind of like the core group of guys who were going to make it through the end. Finished midnight, and then the following day was Wednesday, and this was just kind of a chill day. We were definitely sleep deprived. Oh no, we had a test on our comms class we had on Tuesday. I bombed that test. Again, I was just very unfamiliar with a lot of the infantry fundamentals, and my notes were so poor and I was so tired, and I bombed that test. And then we just did a lot of polls. We had a lot of national debt to pay off, so I noticed during downtime that was a good time to pay off that national debt. Going through my notes and text messages through my old platoon. So yeah, Wednesday was kind of a chill day. We were pretty beat up from just all the land navigation in the first day, so it was just lots of classes and tests. So we did a test on the communication, like I had mentioned. We had a bunch of classes on billets within the sniper platoon, kind of roles and responsibilities of your TL, ATL, comms guy, point man, the corpsman, and then your slack man. I won't go too in depth in those. It's been a long time since I've actually, researched that and talked about those billets, but those are the classes we had. And then we had a nice pool PT, and again, pool PT will always be my favorite in the military, just because of my swimming, water polo, and surf background. I enjoy being in the water. It's almost like a rest for me. And I was definitely kind of addicted during it, because every time we finished an event, the guy who finished first got rest, and like, dude, I was tired, and it was a competition, and like that was my jam, was swimming and being around the water. So I crushed all of our pool PTs there pretty well. And then Wednesday night, we moved into our first mission. And honestly, again, I enjoy mission briefs. I enjoy 5-paragraph orders. I enjoy kind of getting in that zone. I will say our first mission, I always hate training in the military because no mission or any kind of medical situation is ever chill. it's always like, oh no, your position's been compromised. Oh no, evac's not coming. Now you have to, ruck out X amount of miles. Hey doc, you have a mask has in front of you. Like, it's never just a simple, oh, he's got a gunshot wound to the leg. Cool, let's get him out of here. The mission's never like, oh, yep, there's a easy amount of force. You have an easy route to go. Every training scenario is always worst case scenario. And our mission was, if you look at it, zoom out, was basically we were going to die in real life. We went up to the Holf just outside of the loft. And as we're hiking up the Holf, there was an enemy machine gun emplacement facing down this road. So we have a platoon of guys assaulting uphill into an emplaced machine gun nest. What do you think happened? All right, we got ambushed and absolutely annihilated. They threw a bunch of smoke grenades at us. They had an M240, taking multiple casualties. Of course, me being the corpsman, I was expected to triage and treat these patients. And after we got overrun, they brought out the elephant egg, which was just a sandbag, not a sandbag, a sea bag, 300 pounds, just full of mud and dirt, and it had rain, so just this big solid brick of dirt. And we kind of got an introduction to carrying this weight. And I forgot how far we hiked, maybe 2 or 3 miles, but dude, carrying a main pack, mission loadout with the pig egg, and trying to carry this big freaking sandbag, holy shit, my back felt transformed after carrying this. And then we hiked down the back roads of San Mateo to our first kind of camp out direction, or not camp out, our first hide site. And then when we got to our hide site, we did a gear inspection. Sorry, my mic had died after that last part. So after that gear inspection, we had set up a fire watch. And remember, the new instructor shift came on deck, and the way this corporal came out, and he was just so icy with it. He's like, all right, boys, it's nap time. And we weren't going to get any nap time. All right, we got maybe an hour, hour and a half of sleep. And whoever was on fire watch at the time, the corporal on board, he was just asking us like scout sniper knowledge. And anytime you failed the question, you were doing some kind of pull, whether it was push-ups, burpees, running over and touching the bush. Yeah, like it was just a no-win situation. And of course, you're trying to fall asleep, but you have an instructor, waking us up and asking us questions. No one got any sleep at that point. Yeah, basically, I said hour and a half of nap time. After we finished our rest period, we put all of our gear on, and then we just kind of did this slow conditioning march back to the backyard. And same thing, we luckily had a pretty chill class on hide site instruction or hide site construction, and spent the next 2 or 3 hours using our veg clippers, our veg saw, learning the basics of camouflage and concealment. And honestly, it was just kind of hard to stay awake at that point because it was finally, the sun was finally coming out, it was warming up, but the whole class was just absolutely tired and gassed and in zombie mode at that point. So we had like a little mini rotation of guys building the hide site, and then other guys just taking a quick nap, and we rotate in and out. Upon completion of that hide site construction, we went back to the loft, did some more polls, did some more games. We transitioned to the baseball field and did a CFT and some corpsman drills in reaction to contact. Honestly, not too bad of a time. I just, I think at this point I was just running on autopilot. Like I was just tired, and I was just, it's pure military training at that point. I was just responding and doing what was appropriate. And the CLS class and the corpsman stuff was nice because that's my job. So I was able to actually do well during that period of instruction. And then after our CFT and reaction to contact patrols, we had a call for fire class. I said things before. I knew zero things about calling for fire. And our sergeant at the time, our chief scout, he gave a really in-depth class. He's really big into the call for fire stuff. I don't remember a single thing from it. And like I said, I was so tired. As I'm writing, I'm just nodding off. And again, I keep stressing this. I felt like I wasn't going to get selected because of my lack of knowledge of the infantry. I wanted to learn. I was trying my best, but man, I was just so tired and gassed. And You could look around the guys too. We were all just sitting there, laying down, waiting our turn for this test to call for fire, and we're all just falling asleep, standing down, or sitting down or lying down. Kind of a funny thing to look out in hindsight, but in the moment, man, it's tough, man. Sleep deprivation and back pain, that's what's going to get you to quit during these selections. Once we finished that call for fire class, we went back to loft, and we had a pretty cool like motivational speak from the chief scout, watched some cool sniper videos, and then we began preparation for our death hike and our final evolution. With that being said, you know how it is, the most exciting spots, we got to cut the video there, because the death hike is its own thing. It's its own video in itself, and moving into the platoon. So thank you for watching the videos. Again, I enjoy you guys commenting below, and yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.